play all the top NA teams. Selfless, it's a good map for them, but this is going to be difficult. They're also starting out on the T side in Selfless, consisting of Lucky, Mainline, Relics, Kusta, and Uber, Tempo Storm. That's Showtime, N1, Bolts, Phelps, and Lucas.
What's already strange to me right now is that we have Phelps and Lucas both at the B site, and they both have kits. 2 smokes, 2 out of 3 smokes here at B site with both kits. An aggressive haul setup to try to get a pick early, and I really like this. I often do this myself, and I feel like if there isn't a lot of noise, someone walks into your crosshair, you can get a kill, and there's usually no one close enough to trade. If you don't hear that Glock train right away, it can make a big difference. Uber about to walk into a 3-way crossfire. Hen1 takes him down and gets a second too, and that's Hall's control is his.
Well, there you go. Starting off the hype with his CZ, and wow, Selfless, they walk into the trap. So hard to clear out those halls. You think maybe the Glocks will have the advantage if they could get in close, but the CTs with the crossfire there had set up and the lack of utility on a pistol round, there's no way you can clear out all of that. And, well, dominant for Tempo Storm there in the pistol.
Selfless yesterday played Flipside and had a 16-13 loss, where I think they managed to get like a few good rounds on T side, and then started to lose out, versus the T side of Flipside. In that matchup, I think there was, if they were to review that demo, which they may or may not have, considering this is a best of 1 where you are left with 3 maps and then one's chosen at random. If they did, they might have learned like quite a bit about how to improve on the spot, and they can fix some of their mistakes on their fly here, so that might make a big difference for them coming into Inferno today.
Well, they're going to try to storm into the B site. Tech9 and Armor. Lucas there with the FAMAS, able to get 1, but only 25 bullets to work with. Does do quite a bit of damage. Selfless, however, taking control of the site. Lucky already at the tree, and N1 not checking that. Showtime able to trade it, so not too much danger. But Selfless got themselves into a pretty good position. They have planted that bomb. They've even got the MP7 here on Uber, so there's a chance for them. But it shouldn't be too hard for Tempo Storm to be able to just exert their dominance, take over the site, and Showtime and Bolts, each getting their frags. Tempo Storm 2-0.
What's going to be a really interesting storyline for me personally is seeing if oh wow, bomb timer, that's cool. Seeing if Kusta can seeing if Kusta is motivated enough on this team that he's gonna leave, that he has already technically left, for a much bigger, better team, to see if he can stay motivated to try really hard to win. I mean, part of it is his natural ability to just play the game well. He's also got a lot of experience with this team, but does he have the motivation to try really hard to win? When we saw him play Arch on CT side last time, we saw like a lot of flaws in terms of how slow he was playing. His impact was really low in terms of just maybe not aiming well, and some of that has to be a motivation issue. I mean, I couldn't put it to him just having a bad day, I feel like.
Well, after all is said and done, they do trade out. Selfless trying to storm themselves into this B site once more. Lucas is able to get a FAMAS frag and a nade kill from behind the car at the top of Banana. Double smokes to keep N1 from aggressing onto the site. And yeah, we'll have that bomb timer up again. 3-on-3, 2 kits, 1 on Showtime, 1 on Bolts, and still flashes and smokes to work with. N1, seeing what he can do. And Lucky was maybe even thinking about pushing the smoke. He will fall back to safety. We'll switch over to Relics, who is very, very blind. Not even sure where he was. N1 continuing to frag, and Relics, okay, he was just at the opening there of the CT cross. He'll go down. Bolts with a 2K on the retake, and Tempo Storm 3-0. But Selfless, they've built up the money. 2 bomb plants, 2 rounds.
2 bomb plants, about 5 kills total, I think it is, in these last 2 rounds. Very, very lucrative for them. Has cost the Tempo Storm quite a bit of money, and now we'll move into this round with a really decent buy, a lot of grenades, and the knowledge that maybe if they win this round, Tempo Storm might have to save. So that could be huge for them, all in all. Tempo Storm a little bit weak at B, we've seen already. 2 times they haven't gotten that mow down on players coming into the site. And that's a big problem because B is a site that's so far away from A, and it has only 1 choke point. And if you get up close to that choke point, get into the site, get the bomb down, the retake is usually very difficult. To be honest, even on those eco rounds or those forceps that we just saw, Selfless could have very easily won in the afterplant. I'm sure they weren't happy that they didn't.
All right, well, top mid control right now for Selfless. Looks like only Mainline is going to be over on the jungle side, and he's actually going to bring it back. Bolts behind the truck, finds 2, pulls out the P250 to find it there. It's actually Showtime that'll take it away from him, and get a 3K of his own. Tempo Storm, dominant hold here on the A site, leading 4-0 now in Selfless. Limited on their money, back to the drawing board.
I feel like the best way to play Inferno that we've seen that works consistently the best is to play out the rounds a little bit more slowly. Try to try to acquire some kind of map control, whether it be top banana or top mid. See if you can get an early pick that way, and then go into an execute. But not only did they go into like a relatively fast execute, it wasn't exactly running the entire way, but they didn't throw any particularly interesting smokes or flashes. There was a lack of explosiveness, I feel like, and you can't just go up lane versus 3 players at A when they have so many nice spots to sit at, and without having really good pop flashes to keep them from peeking.
Showtime once again in a great spot, getting those spray downs. His 3K is stolen by Kusta, who takes down Relics, but then does find the headshot onto Showtime in response, and Kusta left alone. Half HP, 1 versus 4. He'll peek out a Boiler, finding Phelps at Arch. Really nowhere for him to go, and the bomb has fallen, I believe, outside of the apartments. And Bolt's looking up into Boiler. They spot Kusta. Not much he can do here besides try to limit Tempo Storm. How many people survive and try to limit their economy?
It's tough because you just had 2 really successful low buys where you hit B, grouped and exploded, and you want to keep doing it because you need to keep that B site hit in your back pocket. At the same time, going A is obviously going to be a lot harder. Coming out of apartments in general is very difficult. It hadn't worked for them versus Flipside. It clearly isn't working for them versus Tempo Storm. But you got to be able to be a little bit more dynamic on your ecos, especially if Tempo Storm know that you're going to save. You can't just go for a B hit because you can assume that they're going to play 3 there. On that round, it actually was a 2-3, but again, it is a little bit of mind games that you need to play and assumptions that you have to make sometimes.
All right, Selfless going to drop that bomb and spread out. Get the map control. They're bottom of banana, going into alternate, and we've got Kusta with his op here in the middle pit, just watching and making sure no one's going to push down. Selfless going to be looking for a pick. And there's the Molotov into the dark room, so that's going to clear that up, and that will push. I believe that was N1 that had gone all the way up there. Now going to be forced to fall back to the end of that long hallway.
Yeah, it's a little bit, I don't know, unconventional, I guess, the way that Tempo Storm are playing the A site. They are, they're playing pretty mobile, keeping an eye on bracket, constantly peeking and re-peeking, and then falling off into new setups. I think they don't have that much information, though. They already gave up pulse control, and they gave up top banana. I mean, one thing about A is they have a lot more talent at A in their players. Hen1, Bolts are both here holding it down, which makes it a little bit harder. But here's Selfless getting bracket control. We'll see what they do with this. Get the opening frag. Hen1 goes down, has the op, and isn't able to have an impact.
Yeah, he takes an aggressive peek into Boiler. He had the perfect read on the situation, but he missed the shot onto Mainline. So Mainline finding the opening frag with around 35 seconds remaining. Selfless, they have that map control, even extending into the B site almost. That's Uber who's lurking over there. Look how far up he is. They've had to drop back and get the bomb. Uber finds the opening here, bringing down Phelps. Still a man back at Spools. That's going to be Lucas. He'll drop off. Showtime trying to make the play to keep this round alive for Tempo Storm, and that's what he does. He finds 2 big kills. Lucas cleans up the mess that was over at B. Uber dies there, and just like that, 2-on-2, as Mainline will find his 2nd kill into the round. It's Mainline and Kusta versus Bolts and Lucas. Bolts coming up here on the moto. Spots Mainline coming off the default plant. And actually Lucas, they're just going to go together. Kusta hits the shot into Bolts, but Lucas with the headshot over the default box does not seem to know where Mainline is. Mainline hiding out in the back of the site, very safe. Lucas checking everything. And, ooh, yeah. Mainline able to buy so much time with this.
Yeah, it's so nice that he got in the spot and actually gets the drop on Lucas. Had no idea that he was sitting in sight the entire time. If he just decided to clear it, would have had a pretty much favorable one-on-one versus Mainline. But instead, Mainline comes away with that kill. I think, honestly, after getting that entry, coming up into the site, Tempo Storm were able to even up in a huge way, getting 3 frags instantly, and there was no trades coming out. So again, like, they got to be a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more cautious, a little bit more good about their spacing, because if not, and they don't get those trades, then they're going to lose rounds, with 4v5 or 3v5.
Especially considering that Selfless killed N1 for free.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
taking the super impact star player out of the round.
The op.
Yeah, and the op also, which can be so powerful on the CT side of Inferno. And then you let Showtime kill 2 of you. The trade needed to be there. And then Uber, even though he goes down, he did his job. He went into B trying to sell a bit of a fake, finds 1 kill, and then dies. That's absolutely fine. But things got a little bit messy at Porch, and it almost cost them the round, but Mainline hiding in the back of the site. That gets Selfless onto the scoreboard. They've got 1 round to the 5 of Tempo Storm, who are not broken yet. Utility maybe a little bit more limited here. Some smokes, of course, have already been thrown as about 50 seconds is off the clock.
And you might think no sense harping on a round where they did end up winning it in the end, especially on T side. But the issue for them is that because it's 5-1, they only had 1 alive. It's going to be very expensive if they don't string 2 together.
Yeah. Also, Tempo Storm is a team that's going to be good enough to punish those little mistakes, and that could add up over the course of a match. Also, just a best of 1. So they got to be careful.
The way that Tempo Storm are set up right now is they're simply stacking A off of very little information and just hoping that Selfless come into them. What Selfless can do here is just have a little bit of presence, like we see from Mainline, who goes for the spray and gets 1 frag for it.
That would have been nuts.
But since they don't have that info of B, we see that Selfless are already up to the site, and the rotators are going to get smoked out while the plant goes down.
Yeah, Selfless, full control of the site right now. Rotations are coming in pretty quickly, but it's everyone on Tempo Storm from CT. They've got no one on the flank coming up Banana. N1 will hit the shot onto Kusta, so Kusta taken out. Now Tempo Storm with the man advantage, 4-on-3. Kits on Showtime and Phelps. About 30 seconds left on that bomb. Relics and Uber now chiming in. That's Showtime and N1 down. Phelps and Bolts. Last one's left. Both coming here from construction. Relics behind Nubox gonna fall. Seems they have an idea. Lucky goes up on the wagon and Banana and dies. And all out of ammunition is Bolts. So Uber able to get the 2K there, holding the site. 3K overall in the round. Hear the cheers from Selfless as they find a second round.
A huge play. I mean, that was that saved his team in a huge way. Right now, we have Tempo Storm on a save. I don't even think we're going to see any armor buys at all. No, they've only got 2K apiece. So Selfless have the opportunity to get another round for it. So that 1v2 results in 2 rounds in a row. That's a round that you could look back on if it does come down to a close game and see that that was a main reason that why they won. That being said, that retake it did come very close, and it probably shouldn't have come down to just that 1-on-2 versus Uber, but having a bad after plan is something that you can learn from like almost right away in following rounds. Tempo Storm are, they hit shots, and we've already seen some really, really fierce retakes from them so far. And again, if Bolts didn't run out of ammo there, who knows what would have happened.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see like Selfless before that, before they actually got into the site. I mean, played the round out really well. A very standard T-side round, and because Tempo Storm went for information nowhere, they weren't able to control their own. They weren't able to place, or they weren't able to have good rotations themselves. Excuse me. So again, it's a long way from Arch to B, and if you don't have top banana control, then you don't know that they're going to hit B soon, then there's no way for you to be in the right place at the right time to help your teammates. And they had Showtime at B alone, so.
Oh, Lucky's been blinded either by himself or by his teammate that was thrown in a pop flash. He's made noise, and that just sets him up. Free frag for Bolts. That was the only man over at A. He gets the kill there. Now Selfless feel the pressure to start executing, but they're going to execute into the stack up of Tempo Storm. Everyone just hiding out in the corners. A couple upgraded pistols, a couple defaults in the USPs and P2Ks, but this can still be pretty dangerous. Phelps with the 5-7 will take down Relics. Mainline inside of a smoke, going to be getting the bomb down actually just at the front of the steps. Not even really that default grill plant. And Bolts with that Galili picked up, finds a kill on the mainline. Uber doing his best to stay alive, but the USP silenced will take him down. And everyone's dead for Selfless. They've planted the bomb, but they've lost a round that, well, that should have been the freebie.
Full eco. I mean, and that's they had one person at A just to keep Selfless honest, and Selfless went to look for that information. And we had, who was it? I believe it was Bolts over at mid.
At mid, yes.
Just one P250 kill at top mid. No one was close enough to help him get that kill. Obviously, the team flash didn't help him at all, but he's also in a spot that would help him dodge flashes if someone were to come up mid. Either way, like, scouting for information isn't abnormal. It's just that Selfless, once they got the info that someone was at A, they got kind of scared and just decided to plow B right into the stack of Tempo Storm. So just a superior setup.
Also just awkward use of those flashes at middle. If Lucky wasn't blind, it would have been a very, very different story. And now here's N1 at Arch holding it down. Bolts is over there in the little corner. He'll peek out for another quick double just like that. 2 kills apiece for those guys. And inside of the pit, no way that Showtime's going to lose that battle. He'll take down Lucky, and it looks like game crash, but quickly resolved. 7-2.
Yeah, suddenly momentum swinging back into the favor of Tempo Storm. We could have seen this be, it could have been a situation where you had a 5-3 for Selfless, and then you go into another rifle round where it plays out slowly. Instead, because Tempo Storm win the full eco, Selfless are actually on a double eco themselves. Completely destroyed their economy, and it's taken away from their chances of being able to win this game or get back into it in the first place.
So
it's very disheartening having to eco so many times.
Yeah, it certainly is. And that's the first little hype, I guess we'll phrase it as, since Thorn said some hype is going to die today. That's the first bit of nice op work we've seen from N1. Of course, he started the pistol off with a double CZ kill, but granted, that's the CZ. Uber, beautiful shot, P250 over the truck. One of the most annoying forms of cover in this game. And, well, that's a nice shot, but it won't matter as Bolt's here from the pit, grabbing 2 and now pushing out, looking for some more.
You see that spray control just before his recoil reset, decided to spray again, but pulled his crosshair down low enough that he was able to get a second kill, kind of an unconventional way. It's really nice from him. And now Selfless with 2 rounds, have to come back into this one with a decent buyout. We've seen the rounds that they have won, they've done it slowly. When they try to change up the pace, they don't seem to do a very good job. Versus Flipside when they did their boiler splits too quickly off of no map control, and what seemed like a little bit of impatience. Maybe just the feeling that if they do the same thing over and over again, they're going to be too predictable. But the value of going for map control is that you have a default where you're watching all the spots for pushes first, and then you go and take something meticulously, cleaning it out with a teammate, so you can hopefully isolate someone or push them back into the site. And it's typically a safe way to win almost every single round if you have the patience to do it. That's why we see Flipside pretty much never do anything quick, unless it's the case that they have a really strong lead.
So right now, Selfless, they did have enough to buy, but Kusta, we saw that he did like to pull out the op on the T side in their match against Flipside, but not able to afford it here. So everyone going to be on an AK, but worth noting, Kusta, his rifling ability is also pretty good. He's not a one-dimensional opper in that sense.
Oh.
And one, of course, still with his. And a minute left in the round. It's 8-2. Selfless on their default again, looking for some picks, but so far have found nothing.
Once again, we have Tempo receding into the site. One of the other rounds that they were able to win. They killed N1 for free at Boiler in the same spot he's at. I don't think he misses that shot again. But even without that, they have top banana control, so they might be able to do something at B. The issue is that N1 shutting down some aggression at top mid, and then because they have this op here, Tempo Storm feel like they can stack towards B or have it bolts at least in CT.
So the flash that came out of Boiler, they were completely expecting N1 to be there holding that angle, but the flash didn't go far enough or was clipped by some object. Who knows? It didn't go off. Then Mainline misses a smoke going up the jungle side, trying to sell a bit of a fake. Now Selfless try to make a move and execute onto the B site, and that's just getting completely shut down. Tempo Storm 3-on-2. Lucas going to get one more before falling in dark. That'll allow Kusta to plant the bomb. Maybe. Time is so low. He didn't have much of a choice, but Showtime moves up and stops it, winning yet another round here for Tempo Storm.
Yeah, and it starts with N1 getting that first shot, and then when they hit B, they had Uber leading this time, so it's kind of nice how they do that. They on both the rounds that they go B and then they don't go B, Uber's in front, and he leads into the site, tries to lurk in because I think he has a good beat in the fact that Tempo Storm don't like to play on top banana late or even midway through a round. And because they do that and he gets a kill, they can't be sure that they have to rotate because he's done an alert before. So it's a pretty good mind game to have Uber, perform the same task over and over again. He also becomes more accustomed to entering on the site in general.
Phelps playing an aggressive look here into Banana. Has already done a bit of damage. Look at Relics down to 2 HP, and he's going to go back and set up a smoke or a pop flash coming over. Phelps now holding as Lucas has fallen. Oh, each of them only able to get one, so even though Selfless are extremely low, they get into the site and they can plant that bomb. So a lot of extra money coming their way because of that. A bomb's planted, but Relics taken down through the smoke almost immediately. And Mainline just trying to play an angle here behind the generator, very low, making it a bit more expensive for Tempo Storm, but they really shouldn't have too much of a trouble retaking this.
Yeah, they shouldn't. I mean, this double construction setup means that you might have a free kill come their way. We have a bait from Kusta that should allow people to come right into Mainline, but instead he goes down. Mainline looks for his kill, does get one. 15 HP though, and goes down. An easy stick from Bolts. Wouldn't have mattered if his teammate died in that situation, and they do 100% it.
Looked like he pulled out a nade, and I'm assuming it might have been a Molotov. He was going to try to throw it over the wall because there's no box there, and landed on top of the grill, but he gets killed in the process. And even if it landed, It's a nice idea, but I think there was enough time they could have waited for that to just burn out and then
Thought
defuse.
that counts, Joey.
Exactly.
We have an op in response. Kusta is actually picking it up this time. We saw an issue for Selfless yesterday is that they basically decided not to op on T side whatsoever, and it was because they were struggling to get their economy on their feet, and also it's hard to justify an op for no reason. Like there's no reason you shouldn't be able to win a round without an op, and there's Kusta getting N1 opening the round up, and I don't think they expected it. That is Tempo Storm, so.
Surprising, too, because N1, I mean, we know that he's going to want to take the op to you. He's going to move around. He's got the confidence to do that. He's that type of opper. We've seen him mostly at A, but this time he goes over to B. Kusta's maybe just looking for Phelps or Lucas, but he finds N1, and that's a great first pick. Kusta winning the sniper duel, and Selfless still have some time to make this a decent half if they can get to 5 rounds.
Nice peek and escape from Bolt. He's got that info in the op at top mid. But Kusta looks like with mainline is going to re-aggress, and Lucky actually gets a kill on Apartment. So they can almost be certain that it's clear, as they have spotted one at A, and they know that if there is only one here, that Arch would be completely open. And if there is one at Arch, he is alone. So that's Phelps, and oof, mainline pieces him. Now, just Bolts. Last spotted on Truck, and a split towards A coming out. He's looking for the kill, but mainline takes him down. Well played by him, and Lucas notices that Uber has snuck through B, and that he probably doesn't have much chance of winning this round here.
Yeah, maybe just going to keep the op alive. And everything went right from the very start of this round with Kusta finding that first pick, mainline doing well to open up the top of middle. And, well, not even a single member for Selfless dying here, so the money will also start to build up for them. And looking at Tempo Storm, where they said, no problem, Bolts is at basically $11,000, and well, actually $12,000 now as the money even goes up further. So everyone's good to buy. Phelps is a little low, but of course they can drop him. So Tempo Storm will have a full round, and Selfless will have to put their best effort forward, as they're not going to get any freebies. Tempo Storm can buy for the rest of this half.
You might think, why wasn't Lucas trying to save that situation? And it's because that early into a bomb plant when you were last spotted, and they know exactly how far you could have gotten. You can't really just go all the way into spawn because you'll get crushed there. So with that op, try to aggressive mid and get a kill to make his escape a little bit easier. Give him some more roots, as the team that's looking for him is going to split up. Now, at top banana,
wow.
Showtime gets a kill through the smoke, and that's some standard bottom banana control. This is one of the.
We haven't really seen him do it yet, though, on their CT side.
Yeah, we haven't. They haven't played banana either for very long or very far down for information. So now it looks like they're peeking aggressively. I like that they get the kill this time before actually giving up control. We've seen Selfless just abuse the fact that Tempo Storm give up map control like nothing, and basically rely on, I guess, N1 hitting op shots or their rotations to stack B to defend.
Lucas and Phelps, one crouched in front, Phelps just behind. Like, no way you're not going to trade that out. So Showtime pushes down with that aggressive make control for the CT side. They get a kill, they back off, they have a 5v4. Really, 5v4, you got a super high win percentage on a round on Inferno on the CT side. You can go passive into the sites, as you talked a lot about yesterday, once you have the man advantage, and then they just shut down Selfless as they try to peek.
Yeah, those are really good angles. I actually learned that angle from Ario when I watched him hold the B site, where he just slides off the stairs and just holds like a completely fat angle, because it's not going to be pre-aimed in that spot. And while regressing, Phelps gets a frag, and Lucky, the only man left, knows that there's at least one more in B. But the hard part for him is the fact that there's 4 alive, and he doesn't have a smoke to cross.
And yeah, no smoke. Actually, Lucas will do the deed there, but N1 was already set up with his op on that cross, so there was no chance for Lucas. For that last member of Selfless, which was Lucky. So 11-3 now. Tempo Storm, very dominant CT side, and this is actually, I think it's a good time to bring this up. This is where it can get scary. So the Inferno CT side rounds for Tempo Storm, 56% rounds won on the CT side, but 74% of the rounds won on T side.
Wow.
So things are not going to get easier, really, for Selfless when they get onto that CT side.
Right. Well, it's interesting to see the dynamic between Phelps and Lucas and how they decide to play the B side. I think sometimes it doesn't seem like it makes sense based on how passively A is being played, but at the same time, Tempo Storm seem very keen on maintaining bracket control, whether it be by coming back to retake it or by holding angles on it. either way, Selfless know that they can get all the way up here, and that the hard part is for them sometimes getting the bomb down, and sometimes in general killing people so that they can control rotations, because 4v4 they haven't seen any really big wins where they've gotten the bomb down and not had anyone die.
I'm pretty sure that Uber knows Lucas is holding out in this corner, because when the smoke went down, just from the sounds, and I think even maybe seeing it, it was kind of obvious. It was just underhanded from very close. So I wonder if Uber won't just go in and immediately check that corner. Might be able to find a first kill into B, but Selfless needs to do something fast. And yeah, well, actually, he'll take down Phelps. Hasn't gone in yet. I think he'll suspect the player was there, but no, he falls back. So Lucas will live another day. Here's Showtime and Bolts over at A. Bolts coming out of Library, and now N1 and Pit bringing down mainline. Kusta trying to work his way out of the apartments, but Showtime will not budge. And now Uber. He got 2 kills, but he's left on 4 HP with way too big of a task. And that's that. It'll be Tempo Storm on the CT side, winning 12-3. But now they get to go to the T side, where they're arguably even stronger.
Yeah. You know, Selfless get the opportunity to play on CT side this time, but what's the issue for them is that they're reaching these critical number of rounds, these 12, you know, the past the 11 mark, the 12, 13, 14, where you just rely so heavily on the pistol that you don't give yourself a chance to play. If you lose the pistol, then you almost certainly have to force up. You're just so close to losing as soon as the half starts that it means, you know, you had a complete failure in the first half, your morale's down, and even though you're going into the easier side, that it doesn't feel like you have an easy route out. That being said, both teams get to play both halves. One team did this, you know, had such a fantastic half versus you. You can do it to them. But Selfless have a long trek back to get to 16 rounds, and I think that almost certainly Tempo Storm will be comfortable going into T side.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. I can't remember exactly what player it was, but the tweets were going out. You know, it feels like I'm playing against another Fallen when you go against Tempo Storm. And we know how strong Luminosity could be on this map. Tempo Storm going to have that same kind of approach, can play it slow, can wait to those last seconds, hit some crazy executes. They're going to have a strong playbook on their T side, which we actually saw one last night by Renegades.
Yeah, it must be nice having a dad like Fallen just to ask how to fix things when your setups aren't working.
And I'm sure with this lead as well, Tempo Storm can, let's say, up the tempo and just play also in a very aggressive T side and just see how that works. Maybe just rattle Selfless right away. And you mentioned the 12-3. There's really no room for mistakes. Selfless need the pistol.
I love this hall setup. The same for the same reasons that I liked Tempo Storm's hall setup, which was even more aggressive. They played 3 here. The one that Selfless have going on is pretty good too, but because it's the lane hit, that's like the one thing that counters it. Lucas over the smoke gets that headshot with the Glock. How did he do that? Wow, head one getting a kill too.
Well, Tempo Storm, they've all taken some damage, but they've got into the bomb site, planted it. It's 5-on-3, Lucky, Relics, and Uber. Relics where's that nade going? Might be able to get a frag, but no, it's only going to hit N1. It takes him down to 27. Lucky, this will be difficult. 3 players in pit. He's trying to make his way out of the apartments. It's only him and Uber now. Well, they each get 1 kill. Now Lucky was right behind him. And, Bolt's just going to give him a jumping Glock headshot.
Why not?
Why not? 13-3, 10-round lead for Tempo Storm.
I mean, Tempo Storm right now should be anticipating a complete force up from Selfless. This is probably a good time to. I mean, this is their last BO1. If they lose this, they don't qualify. Plain and simple. Tempo Storm go into a best of 3 elimination. So I think if anything, since they're just opting to save here. I mean, I think they figure, you know, for the same reasons we talked about, that if you do lose the pistol after getting to this critical number of rounds, you feel very pressured to force up. I would have expected them to, because you feel like you're going to lose. Well, in reality, if you play CT side properly and you're very confident about your team, then maybe you want to give yourself a chance to win by saving and having enough money to win when you should, instead of trying to end it early. And that flash, I think, blinds a few people, including themselves, but because it did such a good job hitting bottom banana, Tempo Storm losing man, and now having spotted all those players, are making a fast rotate back to A.
Player gonna peek out real quick. That's Phelps. Oh man, and everything falls apart with some quick peeks from top of alternate and top of mid. And I actually like the fact that Selfless go for the save there, because if you're gonna make this crazy comeback, you're not really gonna be able to do that just chancing all these force buys. you're going to have to win on the back of strong rifles. So you take that save, and you're going to try to get the strongest rifle round that you can. Every single person bought down to $0, and it's still not even looking that good. You got 4 FAMAS, 4 smokes, and a couple flashes. Not even a single kit. So the defense will have to be on point, because the retake is going to be very difficult.
Yeah, they don't have much utility here, but they had to force up. They don't actually have a kit either, so stopping the plant is going to be critical for this round. And I'm surprised we don't see anything aggressive coming out. It seems like, let's just buy and play standard. Well, that's a recipe for disaster, honestly, if it is the case that Tempo Storm are playing as slowly as they are, and they really are just taking this round moment by moment. But they saw all the SMGs from last round, and this round they decided, well, we saw those SMGs. They didn't lose any players. We might see some rebuys or force ups, but we're almost certainly going to catch someone with, you know, a really weak gun that we can take advantage of, and that's the idea behind Selfless's buy. The issue for them is they're not doing anything special here, and I really don't like that.
And they don't actually really have enough utility to play as passive as they are. They've given up so much map control to a team like Tempo Storm that's going to be able to use that. And, well, they were pretty far up into the apartments at top of middle, but they're all backing off and loading up here in it to Banana to make that strike onto the B site with it. Looks like I think Lucas is still lurking around top mid. He's actually in danger of being caught off guard, and actually if the timing works out, might just slip through, but here's Uber flash out from a teammate. He's able to bring down Phelps, but it's Showtime with the MAC-10 that finds the kill. Now switches out to a rifle. Kusta will catch Lucas off, so the lurk has been shut down.
It comes down to Relics here in the backside. He gets 1 kill. He's looking for a second. He just wants to stay alive long enough for the rotates to come out, and he's trying to make a spray happen. He's got a little bit of HP, and Bolts takes him down. And it seems like all the CTs are melting, but no. It's actually just Hen 1 left alone now in a 1v2. Bomb can't go down, and everybody's rotating from the same spot, so he can actually plant for construction, and no one can stop him. Will he find the frag? No, mainline cleans him up. A nice round from Selfless, but they were relying way too heavily on being able to hit shots in a situation where Tempo Storm had so much utility. They didn't smoke CT. They're a little bit flustered trying to trade out Relics in the back of the site, but you know, that might be the lifeline that Selfless need to get their feet on the ground.
Yeah. That Kusta spray down almost broke that round. He was trying to take the player out from behind Dark, and he's at the headshot ledge, so he can not really see much of the player. He's spraying. He starts the spray, and he just committed to it. He finally starts pulling back over down to the right, and like one of the last bullets he had connected to the head of that player, giving them the 2-on-1.
No, mainline going to be smoking top Banana for his teammates so that they can save their smokes for later. As we know, Banana is so nice to smoke off because there's only one choke point. You don't have to waste a couple of smokes and watch one spot. You can literally focus all your attention on this funnel. But they're not even going to play in front of it just in case we have a situation where Tempo Storm decide to flash through it. That's very common. But Tempo Storm playing all the way back. Bottom mid, outside apps, haven't decided to commit to anything quite yet. And we might see this round come down to the later seconds.
Yeah, just looking to, again, get that map control. You mentioned how passive the CTs were at B, so N1's able to work his way up to Banana, but the bomb hanging out in alternate. Lucas now going into the window room here, going to clear out Dark and Boiler. They spam those boards a little bit, but I don't think they threw any nades inside of there. Showtime's going to go up the steps, and everyone bringing their attention back over to mid right now. It's going to be Kusta at Arch. Actually looks to be supported by Lucky. And then over in pit, it's going to be mainline.
Arch angles are way more fun, but here is an Arch smoke actually smoking out Cubby a little bit so that they can cross and maybe isolate a player, but it looks like Lane is being taken advantage of because 2 players are at Arch. They can't do anything to help mainline. He's all to himself with his AK and goes down 1 for 1. Is that be enough? No, Phelps gets a frag for himself, and Lucky now on the rotate makes it a 3v3 after plant situation for Tempo Storm.
Man, if mainline had head armor right there, he might have just sprayed down 4 people, but he got gooshed up through the boards, got aim punched. That threw everything off kilter, and he actually only came out with 1 kill. It still did a ton of damage to everybody else. That's why Showtime, N1, and Phelps are quite low, but now they've got themselves into a post-plant position, and if they can just have the better position, they might be able to win this. Phelps and N1 each getting frags. That's going to leave Relics alone with the FAMAS, and caught out of the open, and that's going to hurt. Phelps gets the kill on the Relics, and Tempo Storm going on to match point like that.
Wow, 3K for Phelps. You could say that round went swimmingly for him.
There you go. You finally brought it out. Launders with the jokes. So 15-4, and Selfless, you know, trying to pull together those rifle rounds. It falls short, and now their money is in a very, very bad spot. So Of course, you're buying to tie now at this point, so the 5-7 armors and even the Mag 7 comes out.
Originally, I felt like it was a pretty decent read to stack up Arch in that situation because they're playing B passively and they don't have top mid. Well, if they play Cubby and someone at Arch, they have 2 fast rotators. If it is the case that Tempo Storm decided to split A, a lot of the times people will go Arch and maybe just run into you right there. Instead, Tempo just went right up lane. It was the exact answer to Selfless's setup. Yeah, kudos to them for identifying a hole and taking advantage of it.
And I'm not sure if Uber was peeking for information or a nade forced him out from sandbags, but he's gone down at the top of Banana. It was Bolts that got that kill, and one starting to move up with the op. There's only one player remaining on the site. That'll be Relics. I mean, hey, you got the 5-7. You got to exploit the power of it at these close ranges. And he's going to pop flash and go out aggressively. Spots one at Phelps. It wasn't blind, but he had turned the other way. Now 4 members remaining here. Relic's going to try to peek and get another kill. Save the day, perhaps. He'll drop a smoke, and this could actually allow him to get another one, but somehow Lucas lands 1 bullet. Relics was only on 14 HP, so he'll fall. Mainline, the first to rotate in. He's going to be smoked off, but there may be a gap there you can exploit. Lucky and Kusta set up a bench, and Alternate are in really, really strong positions. Kusta will go down. It's checked. Lucky's able to get 1, and now the bomb just goes back the other way, and it doesn't matter. N1 hits the shot, comes out, takes the fight, and Tempo Storm dominant here. They'll win 16-4.
Yeah, you know, at the rounds that Selfless got, they didn't come by them too easy. But we could see that they had some of their effort paid off, but at the same time, overall very dominant performance of Tempo Storm. They earned themselves multiple ecos. They ecoed Selfless themselves a full